Welcome to another hard-hitting episode of the Callous Mind Talking Head Sportscast. I need to launch this episode by saying I'm sorry I'm late. This is just one of those live streams that I decided to do off the cuff here. And then I couldn't even hit my future time slot properly because I had to get a drink and, turn on the lights and all this kind of crapola. So, but I also want to start this episode by saying go Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game. It is phenomenal to see how well the program has done this year under head coach Kenny Dillingham. And man, I wish Arizona State all the success in the world. It's great. I hope they win the Big 12 title, and I hope they get into this college football playoff. It'll be an interesting, fun postseason in college football to have Arizona State in it. So, all right, so this week I am making my 2024 Week 14 NFL picks. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Tonight's games begin with the Green Bay Packers visiting the Detroit Lions, and this is a classic NFC North battle, and it probably will be a battle, but I'm going to give Detroit the benefit of the doubt here because they are at home and because they are a great team as well. But the Green Bay Packers are nobody to be shaking a stick at because they're a pretty damn good team themselves. So this ought to be a hell of a game, but I'll give the nod here to the Detroit Lions. Okay, Sunday's matchups begin Sunday, December 8th, 2024, with Jacksonville visiting the Tennessee Titans in an AFC South matchup. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Tennessee Titans here at home to get this win against the visiting Jags. The next game features an AFC East matchup featuring the New York Jets visiting the Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to take Miami here because they are at home and because they're still trying to scratch and claw and hopefully get their way back into the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Dolphins here at home. The next game features the Atlanta Dirty Birds visiting the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins reunion with the Minnesota Vikings. And I got to go with the Minnesota Vikings here. Kirk Cousins is bad about throwing interceptions, and they end up to be very costly interceptions. And with that in mind, I think the Vikings are pretty solid on defense and pretty solid on offense. They're a pretty damn good team. According to this, they're favored by 6 points. And so I'm going to take the Vikings here at home to get the win against the visiting Falcons. The next game, the New Orleans Saints visit the New York They Might Be Football Giants. And I think I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Saints here, even though this doesn't typically bode well, traveling from west to east, going from playing inside to playing outside. But I just don't have any faith at all in the Giants offense. So I think New Orleans will be able to score more than the Giants can. And with that in mind, I'll take the Saints on the road at the Giants. The next game features the Carolina Panthers visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles are a solid team, and Carolina has been frisky as of late where they've been playing teams tough. We'll see if that trend continues in this, but I just don't know that they have enough to beat the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles at home to fly against the Carolina Panthers. Let me pause and get a drink here. All right, so the next game up is the Cleveland Browns visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a classic AFC North battle again. I'm not sure Cleveland's going to get the upper hand on Pittsburgh in this game. But you never know with these kinds of matchups. but I'm going to go ahead and go with what I feel is the logical pick here, and that would be picking the Steelers at home against the visiting Cleveland Browns. The next game is the Pirate Bowl. Las Vegas Raiders visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I got to say, the Bucs are still playing for a playoff spot, and the Raiders are playing for a draft pick. I think the Raiders could come in here and potentially be competitive with the Bucs, but at the end of the day, I'm going to give the nod to Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at home to get this win against the visiting Raiders. The next game, the Seattle Seahawks visit the Arizona Cardinals in an NFC West matchup, and the Cardinals need this game just about as much as I need oxygen. So I'm going to pick Big Red here. Fingers crossed that they get this win. Now, honestly, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see Seattle come in here and win, given the fact that the Cardinals are reeling a little bit here and hurting, but they could really use this win, and especially against Seattle. So I'm going to take the Cardinals here to rise up and fly against the Seattle Seahawks. The next game, the Buffalo Bills visit the Los Angeles Rams, and the Bills are still chasing down the Chiefs for that number 1 seed in the AFC. So this is really a must-win for them. And I'm going to take the Bills to do just that on the road at the Los Angeles Rams. The next game, the Chicago Bears visit the San Francisco 49ers. And I got to tell you, Chicago's played people real chippy and almost won. And San Francisco's really hurt and really banged up. The line shows that the Bears are actually favored in this game by 4. According to what I'm seeing right here, but I just don't know if I buy that, man. San Francisco is just so banged up. I'm actually going to take the Chicago Bears in this game on the road to get the win at the San Francisco 49ers. The next game, the Los Angeles Chargers visit the Kansas City Chiefs, AFC West matchup. I know that Kansas City already has their playoff berth in the bag. I think they've already got their division in the bag. I don't really think that it matters as much as that goes, but they also have the Buffalo Bills on their heels for that number 1 seed because they have a game in hand against Kansas City. If Kansas City loses this game, they not only lose this game and get a second loss, but they fall to at least the number 2 seed in the AFC. And let's face it, nobody wants to go to Buffalo in January. And I don't give a shit how good you are. If you go to Buffalo in that weather in January, it bodes ill for you, very ill. So Kansas City would be well advised to win this game. But then again, so would the Chargers, because they are fighting, continuing to fight for their playoff lives as well. So this ought to be a hell of a game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give the nod to Kansas City because they are at home. And finally, on Monday Night Football, Monday, December 9th, 2024, the Cincinnati Bengals visit the Dallas Cowboys, and this should be an interesting game. I could see every way in the world here where Cincinnati goes in here and gets this win against them boys, but I'm going to go with Dallas here at home. We'll see what happens. The line is that Cincinnati's favored by at least 5. But I'll go ahead and go with the Cowboys here to continue to win at home. And so I'll take the Cowboys at home against them Bengals. And the teams with a bye this week are the Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, Washington Commanders, Baltimore Ravens, and the Houston Texans. And I got curious because I was looking to see, I know there's a whole situation going on at SC right now with people having a lot of questions about Lincoln Riley, because in my own mind I was thinking, it'd be kind of funny that OU, he left OU for USC, which that was probably his wife's decision more so than his own, but anyway, because she probably would have rather been in LA than in Norman, which I get. But anyway, I was thinking that, what happens if Oklahoma State fires their coach and then chases down Lincoln Riley? Would they do that to just spite OU? And I think they probably would, and it would be an interesting storyline. But I wanted to know what the contract situation was with Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans. So here's the deal. It says USC trapped by $408 million blunder as stubborn Lincoln Riley faces growing criticism for Trojans' struggles. Is Lincoln Riley still the golden ticket USC thought he was when they first offered that decade money contract? See, I didn't know the contract was that decade money. Wow. That's the question haunting every dude Trojan fan as their once glorified head coach now finds himself firmly planted on that hot seat. After a rocky 6-6 season and a humiliating loss to Notre Dame, Riley's tenure feels less like a touchdown and more like a fumble for USC. Now, add to that a $408 million investment, including his $90 million buyout, and USC seems trapped in a nightmare with no easy way out. See, on December 2nd, John Middlecoff and Colin Cowherd didn't hold back on the Colin Cowherd podcast while discussing the situation down at USC. Colin went off, quote, "It's interesting they can't get rid of Lincoln Riley. He had his contract turned over, so it's 9 years, $90 million left. They just put $300 million into the facilities. Their collective is up to $18 million. USC is not gonna, but Riley out. It's not the SEC," end quote. It's not just about money, though. Riley's lack of cultural impact at USC is screaming. Cowherd pointed out that at Oklahoma, Riley inherited a well-oiled machine from Bob Stoops and went 55-10 during his tenure and coached 2 Heisman. Crazy work there. He was handed an Oklahoma program and the culture was set. He was very clever, but at USC, he's struggling to create a winning culture. Sure, his offensive scheme worked magnificently in year 1, all thanks to Caleb Williams for carrying that offense, but what's the point? They lost to Tulane in the postseason. Since then, the cracks in the foundation are widening. He goes to USC, and he doesn't really have to build a culture because Caleb Williams is so much better than everyone else in the conference, and they win 11 games. The following year, about halfway through, you're like, wow, they have to replace the kicker for you. The Trojans are regressing diabolically down badly. Colin highlighted how the team has consistently declined every 6 games since Riley's takeover. They're just not getting players, he stated the problem. Yes, they have some young talent, but it'll take a while to develop. Their defensive line lacks depth, and the offense, once electric, now looks painfully average. He's gotten stubborn on the offensive coaching. They just don't have any good offensive players, forgettable running backs, forgettable tight ends. They don't have any tackles. Their wideout lacks hands where it matters. They're not a very good football team. That's bad coaching, Colin argued. The sharp drop from an 11-1 debut season to a middling 6-6 record in year 3 isn't just disappointing. It's a full-blown crisis. Riley's biggest problem, recruiting and not able to develop draft caliber players. They don't have enough good talent, Colin said bluntly. What I'm hearing is he's alienated LA high school coaches. Their LA recruiting stinks, so USC is trapped here. They can't buy him out. Their running backs can't even rush 6 yards without getting rocked. Crazy underwhelming tight ends and a glaring lack of draft-worthy players have turned USC's roster into a shadow of its former glory. Outside of their left tackle, Elijah Page, the offensive line is running on thin ice, and the defensive side is even worse. Recruiting a talent-rich Los Angeles should be a slam dunk, but Riley's reportedly frosty relationship with local high school coaches has stifled their pipeline, and the hits keep coming. They have one nice draftable running back in 3 years. He's leaving, Colin added. On defense, barely any NFL prospects. Notre Dame, a rival that Riley's team should have matched stride for stride, has far more depth and talent. The Fighting Irish head coach Marcus Freeman is now 3-1 against the Trojans. USC thought they were getting a steal with Riley's 10-year contract, but now it looks like a multi-million-dollar misstep. USC's predicament isn't just about losing games, it's about losing identity. Riley was supposed to bring Oklahoma's magic to Los Angeles, but instead the Trojans are stuck in mediocrity, trapped by a massive contract, below average recruiting, and a coach who seems unwilling to adapt. USC faces a harsh reality. Rebuilding might require more than just time. It might need a miracle, and the coach needs to be out. So apparently some people are thinking that. See, what do the comments say? No, he will not change, and USC is going to be a shadow of what it was for the next 20 years. USC will be a 9-3 team. ND will not be a rivalry game, and UCLA will be the same. Here's one. The situation is the epitome of karma. When you hire a coach who lied for months about the USC job, was willing to lose his last game at OU on purpose so he could sneak out of town in the cover of darkness without addressing his team and gutting the program that gave him his first head coaching gig, this is what happens. USC and Riley are now paying for the way they conducted business. You reap what you sow. Oh man, that is brutal. Reap what you sow, baby. Indeed, indeed. Oh, well, it looks like my friggin' video's frozen out there. So alright, well, looks like there's no chat out here, and if there is, I don't see it. But anyway, if you join live, I do sincerely appreciate y'all. If you watch the replay, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, until Tuesday, have a great weekend. Be good to yourselves and each other. And I'll talk to you all next week. God bless.